Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for another week of the Screen Sermon Podcast. You guessed it, it's the Boon, and I'm here with the Sex Robotica unit, who I have made sure to charge, because it's coming soon for September 2023, and the SR unit and myself always like to take a look at the films that are coming up in the next month or so. We do apologize for dropping this in the middle of our version versus version, The Ring versus Ringu, but considering the time of the month that it is, we wanted to make sure to get this out there so that you are aware of the films that were on our radar. So speaking of radar, SR unit, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I think my gimmick for this is going to be much like another thing we do, where I'm just going to change it every season to some other nonsense.
Which nonsense are you talking about? You mean your serial number for your robot parts?
This is my gimmick for the my gimmick name for the pod.
So eventually, like, the SR unit will be decommissioned, and then you'll become something else?
Yeah, well, I don't know what our next arc's going to be yet, but I'm sure within the first episode I'll say something stupid that gets attributed to my name.
I'm sure. Hey, don't give away the inside baseball that we haven't made a decision about what our next arc is going to be.
Yeah, we definitely know what our next arc is going to be. It's going to be...
this is all meticulously planned.
All movies starring a guy with the first name Noah. We're calling it Noah's Ark.
Good night, everybody. That's all we got. Yep, the jokes don't get any funnier from here. But no, I'm happy to be having a coming soon episode today, because I gotta be honest, I am tired as shit. So I think that us having an kind of off the cuff, just kind of random conversation about stuff that's coming out, less structured and stuff like that, is going to really benefit me personally. So I'm sorry if it's not going to work out for you so good. Okay. So, as usual, folks, SR and I will go through our top 3 most anticipated films of the month of September, and then maybe a handful of honorable mentions in 5 minutes or less, which I have a sneaky suspicion that the SR unit will get through very quickly. But I gotta tell you, and we were talking about it earlier today, it's hard. It's really hard to do these right now, and the SAG-AFTRA and the Writers Guild strikes that are ongoing right now, as these folks are out there on the front lines trying to fight for, more compensation, the compensation that they deserve, and things like that. A lot of these movie release dates are being changed, pushed out indefinitely, or spread further out to accommodate for, having something come out every month, for specific studios or whatever. And so that's making it very hard to kind of cherry pick things that are worth mentioning as far as the coming out stuff. But it does give us an opportunity to kind of look at some more indie stuff too.
Yeah, I found quite a bit for September, surprisingly, but I told you straight up, when I first was looking into everything, I had a hard time. I had to go deeper into indie and streaming releases in order to actually find, the good shit, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, I think that a lot of the films that made maybe not a lot, but some of the films that made my list in one way or another, I probably wouldn't have pulled out in normal times. There would have been other things that would have, piqued my interest. So I guess there does come a conversation of like, well then, would it have made more sense to not do a top 3 because I didn't have top 3, or does it make sense to literally go, well, these would be the 3 I'd be most excited about?
I mean, part of the challenge at this point, I feel like, is going to be part of the fun, to make at least some positive of the strikes going on. Instead of our both of our top 3s being like mainstream shit, like they tend to be, it's like off the wall, random, whatever the fuck you could find bullshit.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not absolutely excited for all 3, because I'm happy with my 3. I had I mean, we'll get into our honorable mentions momentarily, but I didn't have any problem with those either. I'm looking at the release calendar. We're going to have a tougher time November and December, it looks like.
So you think October is going to be okay too, probably because of all the horror releases and stuff?
Yeah, I already got my 3 picked out.
Okay.
So I think we'll be set. I think because because it's Halloween season, a lot of the horror stuff is saved specifically for that month. So we got enough to eat until November.
Right. The rations will hold for the next 2 months.
Well, we have November, which ain't got much, December, which ain't got much, and January has always been a dead month for films, so
true.
Pretty much until the Oscars after October, we're gonna be slim pickings, I feel.
Yeah. Well, we'll make it up as we go along. So, as we always do with the coming soon episodes, we always start out with our honorable mentions of the month. Robotica, I'm going to let you kick it off and give us your honorable mentions for September 2023.
You got me on the clock?
Oh, shit. Hold on. Bear with me.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. All right. Hold on. You got me doing it. All right, ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, and go.
I picked out 5 films for my honorable mentions. I have a ton more, and I was given permission to plug my Twitter here, so if you're interested in seeing all the horror shit that's coming out in September, my Twitter is @StrawbrainJosh, and I do a list of upcoming horror releases every month pinned straight to the top, so if you're interested in the ones that aren't on these top 5, look at that. So, the ones I have...
And that was, one more time, that was @StrawbrainJosh.
Yeah.
Just wanted to throw that in there again.
Thank you. My first one is The Nun 2, which is in my honorable mentions solely because Akila Cooper wrote it, and she did Hellfest, Malignant, and Megan. She's a very talented horror writer. Otherwise, because I didn't like The Nun, and I really didn't like The Nun, it probably wouldn't be on my radar at all. Conjuring movies are hit or miss, so yeah, maybe she'll be able to make the second one a good one. Next up, we have All Fun and Games. It's one of those horror films that they take a children's game and they're like, how do we turn this shit into a horror movie? So this time they chose hide and seek and just made it a horror movie. And it's starring Natalia Dyer, who plays Nancy Wheeler in Stranger Things. So
yep, I saw that.
That'll get some eyes on it.
Definitely.
Next we have Zombie Town, which is a kids horror movie based on a R.L. Stine book where a film turns a town into zombies. It's got Dan Aykroyd in it, which I'm surprised to find out is still alive, because I thought he passed away like last year, but I guess I was thinking of his brother who passed away a couple years ago. It was bizarre.
I had no idea about his brother.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, how the hell is he still coming out in movies after he fucking passed? Is this a Tupac situation? But
no. Ray Liotta?
Yeah, he's still in movies, and
he's still coming out with stuff.
Yeah, what the hell? Next up, I have Good Boy, a Norwegian film about a woman who falls for a guy who has a dog, but then she gets there and the dog's actually a dude in a dog costume. Yeah,
I saw the trailer for that one. That was weird.
And finally, Shaky Shivers, which I just saw the trailer for today. An 80s-inspired horror comedy about 2 friends at a summer camp who encounter werewolves, zombies, cultists, and other bullshit. Looks to be a fun time. So, those are my honorable
mentions. Bullshit.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those throw everything at him. It's a horror comedy. Who gives a shit?
Right.
So yeah, those are my honorable mentions for this month.
You did great.
September. Plenty
under 3 minutes.
Check the Twitter for the other ones.
That's @StrawbrainJosh.
Yeah. There's I think 15 more, and I'll pick 5 of them.
Yeah.
We don't got all day.
All right, and so yeah, let me set my time. All right, ready?
Nope.
And go. Okay, so it was kind of hard to pick things out. A couple of the ones that you mentioned were ones that interested me, but just didn't make the final cut. So my first one is Don't Look Away. It's about a killer mannequin, and I don't know, something about the design of the mannequin itself stood out to me. The acting in the film doesn't look very great, and the premise is obviously something that we've seen before, kind of like an Annabelle or Dead Silence kind of situation, where there's this should be an inanimate object, but it's cursed in some way or something like that. But yeah, the design of the mannequin is creepy, looks cool, and the trailer did enough to kind of pique my interest. And I also just wanted to throw out there, the leading lady in it, her character's name is Frankie, but the actress's name is Kelly Bastard. And that stood out to me. Number 2 on the honorable mentions is Outlaw Johnny Black. It's a Michael Jai White led film made from the folks that made Black Dynamite, which I thought was great and was a lot of fun. It's essentially a blaxploitation send-up, but it's a Western. So it's got a little bit of Black Dynamite, a little bit of Dolomite, a little bit of Shaft, mixed with some Django kind of vibes to it. It looks really funny. Michael Jai White is obviously in the Old West, so he's a cowboy, but he's also doing martial arts and beating the shit out of people. And there's something about him posing as a preacher when he isn't one, and it's something about, I think, avenging his father's death. And it looks like a hoot. Looks like a lot of fun. Then there's the obligatory dad pick. So Paw Patrol: The Mighty Movie. So any movie that I'm more than likely going to take my children to go see ends up on my honorable mentions list, just because I am, at least in a tertiary way, excited about it, just because it gets me and the kids out to the theater. It's a sequel to the big budget Paw Patrol movie that came out last year, the year before, I forget, but my kids love it, and so we're looking forward to the sequel. And then I had The Creator, which is an upcoming sci-fi film. I didn't know tons about it, but and a lot of it ended up looking more like reluctant parent figure, because there's like a secret weapon for the droid army, so to speak, and it ends up being, a motherfucking gynoid. It's a female kid android that a soldier has to protect or something. So it's got a fucking gynoid in it, so of course I'm all about that. And then on top of it, it's got a lot of cool sci-fi visuals to it. But yeah, it seems to be less about the actual battle between humans and machines, and more about this personal story, and kind of like a what do they call it? An escort mission from a video game is what it reminds me of. So but yeah, it looks interesting enough. A lot of the visuals and stuff really piqued my interest, so I threw it in there. It's directed by the same guy that directed the 2014 Godzilla film and Rogue One, which is an incredible Star Wars movie. So it's at least going to be visually exciting, I would assume. And those are my honorable mentions.
Now we have another excuse to throw down the gynoid hashtag.
I'm going to talk about any movie that has female androids in it, so that we can get hashtag gynoid trending in some way or another. Maybe not even trending. I just want to make sure it's out there. I want to make sure when I put hashtag GY, gynoid populates. That'll make me happy.
Oh, God.
All right, man. So, did you want to take it away on your number 3?
Yeah, my number 3.
I punched my microphone.
Is It Lives Inside, directed by Vishal Duda. Forgive me for pronunciation.
Excuse me.
It's produced by Neon, which I'm happy about, because for one, I believe they're not a struck company, so that's fun. That means
that's exciting.
It means they treat their people well. Also, they did Infinity Pool and Cuckoo, which I think is out now, but I'm not sure. But anyway, the synopsis of the film is that an Indian teenager named Sam tries to fit in and rejects her culture. And as a result, a demon latches onto her old best friend, and it says she has to come to terms with her culture in order to defeat it. This looked pretty interesting to me, especially, you have a Indian director making I wouldn't say a biographical film, but they get to throw in little things about their culture, which is always fun to see, because it gives you a little bit of a deeper connection to the characters, being able to see them accurately portrayed in a certain way. And this trailer, this film feels very, very It-like to me, minus the clown, but in the way that it works. Because they mention that the demon works by attacking her sanity, and that it eats you slowly, and it essentially feeds on fear. That's very Pennywise-esque to me, where you play with your food. Which is even funnier because I know that it got adapted into a television series in India, which, if anybody out there can find that damn thing, let me know, point me in that direction, because it's a 52-episode TV series called Whoa.
How'd they do that?
I think it's loosely based, I believe.
Okay.
But it's called Whoa, W-O-H. It's the Indian, the Indian adaptation of Stephen King's It. Can't find that to save my life, but if you can, Anyway, I didn't. As I watched the trailer, I didn't anticipate it going in a demonic direction, because, and maybe it's my lack of knowledge into the culture, because as far as I know, I think this is an actual mythological thing. Okay. But because it's a combination of my cultural ignorance and also the fact that it was shown to be inside of a jar that made me go, oh, it's a genie. But maybe it's not, because the girl has this jar of black goo, or it just looked like blackness in a jar, and goes, it lives inside. So I was like, oh, it's a genie movie, but no, it's a demon. Unless it is a genie, and the genie is a demon, because that happens sometimes. Seen that in, the Creepshow TV show, for instance.
Well, what about Wishmaster? Isn't that a djinn, which is an evil genie?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken?
Yeah, so I don't know the accuracy of if they're the same thing. That sure as hell would make Aladdin a lot more interesting.
Oh, yeah.
Although Will Smith is fucking genie is pretty close to looking like a demon, I'm not gonna lie.
That's a djinn for sure.
Yeah. Oh God. But rest in peace, Robin Williams, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, this looked interesting. It looked original for sure. I mean, it's It-like, but I'm sure it's not going to be the same thing. It's only Pennywise-esque in the sense of how it feeds, and that's been done before. But given everything else around it, I'm interested to see where the story goes and everything, because there are times when you're watching the trailer and you can go, oh, well, I can imagine it hits these beats and ends here. I pretty much figured where the boogeyman was going to go. To be fair, I've read it before, but I figured where the movie was going to go and how it was going to veer off and do its own thing, and I was accurate with that.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it's open-ended enough without showing you enough to really make you wonder what route they're going to take in it. So, because of that, it rose above all my honorable mentions and stuck itself right on my number 3.
Nice. Yeah, I think that the one thing that I took away when I was looking at it was I agree with you. It seems like maybe a director's opportunity to explore aspects of their own culture or aspects of their own religion in a film setting. And I was trying to think of a good example of that happening, previously. And the only one I could come up with is, I know that when Kevin Smith made Dogma, it had a lot to do with him having a crisis of faith and kind of exploring his own religion and his own beliefs and things like that. When he was making that film, it really allowed him to kind of dig into it. So I wonder if that was part of the mission for this director as well, whether it be just from a cultural side or just full-blown going into their own religion, and maybe not necessarily having a crisis, but just wanting to explore it in a film. But I do agree. I think that the trailer is subtle enough that I'm not really getting a great sense of exactly what's happening, and so they leave you with enough to glean, your interest, but without giving you everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, definitely. I like a good creature feature, and I don't know if this is going to go that route. It's one route that it could possibly take, but I like seeing new shit and things done, expectations being subverted and things being done differently, and it looks to me like this is going to deliver on that front.
Yeah.
So to wrap that up, I guess, unless you have anything more to say on it, because
no, sir.
I feel like we'll be able to breeze by these fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think we're in for a long one this week, folks.
Yeah, so it comes out on the 22nd of September, so look out for that.
All right. And then so we'll go from a nice, subtle, thoughtful trailer that leaves you wanting more to the Boon's number 3, which probably gives away all the best scares in the trailer, and that is Elevator Game. So continuing along the path, I mean, this is what happens, right? As cultural things happen and new mythology or new superstitions and things like that are born out of the internet or out of creepypasta or out of whatever, movies are going to get made about them, just like they were back in the day when, older siblings would tell ghost stories to their younger siblings, and then those get perpetrated throughout the neighborhood, and all of a sudden all the kids know the stories, and then you get movies made about them. And so this is no different than, Slender Man and I don't know, other ones I'm not thinking of off the top of my head. But so Elevator Game, I think is based on, and you can probably help me with this because you and I do have, even beyond the age difference, I think you and I just have a much different interaction with like the online community and horror and creepypasta stuff. So I understand, at least I think, that this is based on a creepypasta that started online, I think. Is that right?
I'd never heard of this one, but I know that...
Okay, you haven't. Okay.
I know that prior, because this came up in my honorable mentions last month, because it was supposed to be an August release, but got pushed to this month. But as I mentioned before, I know that the urban legend of the Elevator Game went viral on TikTok, so it makes sense that they capitalize on it and be like, let's make it a horror movie, because that's what happens, especially nowadays. Turnaround time for films is super quick.
Yeah. And so, there's this online phenomenon about a ritual that you conduct within an elevator. It essentially causes you to travel to hell or to another dimension or something like that. And if the ritual is not done correctly, similar to a Ouija board, if you do things out of order, if you don't blow the candles out or something like that, you allow the spirits to stay in the room with you. Well, in this case, you allow whatever it is you summon up with the Elevator Game to stay and remain in our world if you don't do it correctly. And so from what I was seeing in the trailer, it's something about traveling to certain floors in a certain order. And I remember specifically the last two. One was you end up on the 5th floor, and when the doors open, you have to have your eyes closed and you can't make a sound. And then after that, you go back down to the lobby. And then at that point, you find out whether or not you've succeeded or not in whatever it is you're trying to do, I guess. And obviously, our characters that we're focusing on screw it up, as we wouldn't have a film if they didn't fuck the ritual up. And they give away some pretty creepy scares in the trailer. Like I said, there's some pretty good like body contortion kind of work and stuff like that, and a creature showing up in unexpected places, and kind of the kind of usual jump scary kind of stuff. Some of it looked pretty cool and pretty creepy, and would have been more effective had I not seen it in the trailer, but I did. And so it makes my honorable mentions list, because I'm hoping that they put more of what I saw into the film, and that I didn't see the best of it. And I don't know if I would go as far as to say this is a tentpole film, but it's just one of those ones that I think, at least in another time, like a pre-COVID time, this would have gotten a ton of like teenager attention, and a lot of people would have seen it. And so it's going to be relatively popular, I would assume. And so it's worthy enough to kind of peep it out. And from what I'm seeing, it's not even coming to theaters. But anyway, So yeah, those are my thoughts.
To bounce off of that, I actually wrote in my notes. I said I feel like this film, because of its connected to Gen Z era horror legends, I feel like it would have went viral in some shape or format if they didn't put it right to AMC Plus and Shudder, because that's where it's going.
Right.
And that's fine. Yeah. Shudder's great, but implicitly, when you get put to a streaming service that's not one of the big ones, because Shudder's a niche, because it's a horror streaming service, you get less eyes on it as a result. Because I don't think that your average person is going to go, well, let me get a Shudder account to watch this movie. Which, will limit people talking about it, people seeing it. Though it might end up having a home video releases. Though that's not as prevalent nowadays, because in order to get that, you have to go out and buy the damn movie. Because I don't think Netflix is even doing the disc shit anymore. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think they fucking finally canceled that this year, if I'm remembering correctly. Netflix is doing...
I guess they were probably losing money on that.
They're, making non-stop poor business decisions. I can't stress enough, raising prices, eliminating password sharing. This elevator game has turned into Josh bitches about Netflix. Lack of content, canceling original content. It's just like, come the fuck on. You cannot be the company that put Blockbuster out of business, the streaming service among streaming services, and then dick around your entire user base just because you're Netflix and people are going to want to see the shit on your stuff. Because you don't even have friends anymore, Netflix. Get your shit together. Anyway.
Jesus.
This movie appeals to me, even though it looked very paint by numbers as far as horror movies. But same reason I put it on my honorable mentions last time is because the movie feels like a Goosebumps book. And I grew up with those damn things. Mm-hmm. It feels very much like an aged-up Goosebumps book. You have your legend, and I wrote down the damn numbers for whatever reason. You go to floors 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, then 5, keep your eyes shut, and then go down to 1. And if you do that, you get to say, hey, I did the damn challenge. And if you fuck it up, then you face the demon. So, low... Oh,
that's what it is. It's like a bravery contest.
Yeah, the plot involves the main character being part of a group who debunks urban legends, so like kid mythbusters, kid busters, if you will.
Kid busters.
So yeah, that whole...
I'm gonna open a daycare called that.
That whole concept feels very 90s teen horror to me. So yeah, it feels like it would be a neat thing to watch if people could see it more accessibly. Because, like I said, do you know anyone who has a AMC Plus account?
Hell no.
I had Shudder for a bit. I'm on and off with it. Shudder's worth having. But like I said, it's a niche. You gotta, unless you have somebody that is explicitly a horror fan, you automatically don't have people watching your stuff. You just gotta hope for the best. And it sucks because their library can be real good sometimes, especially towards like October. I don't expect to hear a damn thing about it outside of horror circles, but hopefully it's at least positively received by both us and everyone else.
Yeah, I have a feeling it won't be, but we'll see.
I have mixed feelings about the demon design. I felt like I simultaneously saw too much and not enough.
Yeah. And I feel like when you saw it close up in the trailer a couple of times, it was like, what the hell? Like, it looked kind of cheap, but I don't know. But it releases on September 15th to Shudder. If you have Shudder, or you're a fan of the creepypasta, or whatever the hell, I don't know if it's a creepypasta, whatever, the TikTok phenomenon of the elevator game. If you're a fan, seek it out, support the film.
Yeah, official
and they'll keep making stuff like that. So
Netflix, get Shudder. I don't know.
There you go.
Actually, no, keep Netflix because we use it for international releases, but also get Shudder.
We do, yes. But also get Shudder. Yes. Shudder, we are willing to pimp your product on the Screen Sermon podcast. Just let us know if you want us to do that.
Unfortunately, Netflix is bitch when it comes to watching obscure shit that comes from other countries.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is.
It really is, yes. It's the abuse that I ask for, evidently.
Spike me harder, Netflix. Make that a fucking shirt. Draw a gynoid being smacked in the ass with a VHS tape. I don't know why I went to VHS and not DVD. I guess, I don't know. When I think
I was thinking some kind of like anthropomorphized creature of some kind that's meant to reflect Netflix, and it has like a paddle in its hand. Spanking a gynoid.
When it comes to my first instinct for imagining physical media in form of film is still VHS. So yeah. That's what I grew up with. So
there you go.
Jumping in to the next one because we were getting weird with that.
Yeah, we were.
Is my number 2, which I've been looking forward to for quite a bit now. Satanic Hispanic, which is the reason it appeals to me in the first place is it's an anthology horror film, and I love those. I mean, fucking Creepshow, Tales from the Dark Side, Cat's Eye. All that shit, all that good shit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's me.
Yep.
I don't care how garbage it is. I even like ABCs of Death, even though I don't like it. I still like it. Just for what it is.
VHS, Trick or Treat.
Actually, Trick or Treat's one of my favorite horror movies. My favorite movies, period. So
it's great. I love that movie.
Yeah, immediately need to watch that. Not to mention, it's an all-Latino horror anthology releasing the month of Hispanic Heritage Month. And I'm not familiar with everybody directing segments because there's 5 of them. But they got some talent in that damn anthology. Gigi Saul Guerrero does a segment. She did Culture Shock, which is Into the Dark segment. She's also...
Okay.
She's a horror anthology director, mainly. Because I know she did a ABCs of Death segment on the 2.5, which is the one for the rejected ones that they challenge people to make it based on the letter, I think, M, and they just made a movie of just M's, so it's the M's of Death, I guess.
Oh.
They released it as 2.
Didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, 2.5 or something. It's got, and again, forgive me for being white and pronouncing shit wrong. Forgive me for being white.
My sex robotica android identifies as white.
Damien Rugna directed a segment, and I know he did the very acclaimed movie Terrified, which I still haven't seen, even though the Blu-ray is sitting right there on the damn table, like staring across from me. Still haven't watched that yet, but I know it got like super positive reviews. So this movie is a who's who of Hispanic horror directors. I know somebody who was involved with the Blair Witch Project is in this as a director, I think.
The original or the remake?
The remake, I think.
Okay.
I'd hope so.
Just making sure.
I mean, the original... We'll come to find out on this podcast that Josh does not like the Blair Witch Project.
That just breaks my heart.
I feel like I've brought that up before, but I very much don't like the original.
I know. It hurts me.
The wraparound story, because most horror anthologies, I feel, have an overarching thing that you're doing, like VHS does, at least most of them, and then Southbound, which is VHS adjacent because the same studio did it, has another wraparound story, and a very interesting one at that.
Okay.
In this, it's similar to VHS in that the police raid a house and there's one survivor, and they interview him and everything, and the 5 segments are all the horrible shit that he's seen, and they don't show, like, they show you bits and pieces of this, what the segments are going to be, but there's not enough to really go off of. I mean, the main ones you get are, there's a witch. I mean, the witch is all over the marketing. She's on the poster and everything. So there's going to be a witch. This cowboy-looking thing that looks like Mr. X from Resident Evil. He seems like he's going to be in his own segment. They showed a vampire briefly. It looked like a ghost was another segment because they had a dude just kind of floating in the air. And then at the very end of the trailer, they have a demon. So from what I gather, those are going to be what your 5 segments are going to be about, unless some of them overlap. Okay. But yeah, it's kind of hard to talk about anthologies in terms of narrative because there's multiple. So yeah, much like It Lives Inside, and to a further degree, this could go anywhere. I mean, I don't know if there's going to be some comedic elements to it or what, or if it's just going to play it straight, or if they differ. But yeah, it looks good. I've been looking forward to this one for a while, for the reasons I mentioned before. Just it's everything that I love, especially as we get into Halloween season.
Yeah. Well, and I thought it was a novel thing just because I really dig foreign horror films, and I think part of what I like about them is that they have a tendency to push the envelope in ways that American horror films won't, because, culturally, we just have different lines that we won't cross and all this other stuff. I hadn't gotten a chance to really look at the trailer for this one. You had sent it across, and I didn't get this is the one that for some reason, I think I skipped from your first one to your third one. But, I mean, I agree with you in that I really enjoy the horror anthologies. And so I would love to see what the Hispanic filmmaking community comes up with in terms of... Because I haven't seen the things that you're name-dropping in terms of the people that have worked on it. I didn't see the Blair Witch remake because I was afraid to, because I like the original so much. I've never seen the ABCs of Death films.
Well, no, you don't need to. There's some good ones in there.
To see the ABCs of Death film.
There's some good ones in there, but there's a lot of a lot of not so good ones in there also.
So what I didn't understand about it's the ABCs of Death, so it's 26 segments long, right? Because they do one for every letter.
Right.
So how fucking long are these movies?
Standard movie length. The segments aren't very long. They're like like 26 short films.
Yeah, but like incredibly short.
Yeah, like 5, 7, 10 minutes.
5 to 7 to 10 minutes.
Well, yeah, it's enough to... It gets what it's going. It's like, here's the letter, and then it's over.
Right.
And then the one that I was mentioning, 2.5, is... I don't know if it's 26 or not, but I know it's like all the one letter. It's just
yeah.
I think it's M. I want to say M.
It's all M. M is for murder.
Well, that's probably one.
Yeah, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm all. I mean, we get into the international films on the Screen Sermon podcast as it is. We like to highlight movies coming out of different countries, just because people have a tendency to be ignorant and not seek them out. When is this coming out, and to where? Do we know?
September 14th to theaters.
Oh, it is coming to theaters.
It is.
Get the hell out of here! I didn't know that.
Yeah, get fucked, Netflix.
Yeah, right.
This is a very anti-Netflix episode. There goes that sponsorship.
Right? Yeah, because Netflix needs our fucking promo.
Yeah, I do.
That reminds me.
No one knew who Netflix.
That reminds me. In light of all that, I completely forgot to shout out, and I said I was going to start doing this. I'm going to do it right now. Motherfucking Tubi, man. For anybody out there who is yearning for a streaming service that has some quality shit on it, and look, I grew up poor, okay, so I didn't have cable and stuff until my dad and a friend of his stole it, and then we had like one of the hot boxes for a while and shit like that. But like for the most part, I didn't have cable growing up. Had to come up with other ways to pass the time after school and whatever. If I had Hero, I hear you. Fucking, he's back there and he's saying Tubi. Tubi TV. If we had streaming services when I was a kid, Tubi would have solved all of my problems. Hero, why are you barking over my copy, my Tubi copy? I'm trying to earn us a sponsorship here. I want Tubi to know that we believe in their product. It's absolutely 100% free, and the selection that they have on there is awesome. Like we did the Saving Private Ryan episode a few weeks back, watched it on Tubi. I was so thankful to have Tubi. And when Cody and I talked about The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly months ago, watched it on Tubi. But whenever you go through Tubi TV, once again, completely free streaming service, they have full series, they have tons of movies, they have lots of international stuff. Love it. Love Tubi TV. Seek it out. It's awesome. If you don't use it, please do.
Yeah, Hero sponsors Tubi TV.
Yeah, Hero's all about it. So totally, hashtag Tubi.
Yeah, I'm totally down for and I feel like we've brought this up plenty of times before. Just going on, if we ever need like oh shit, we need to do a review this week. What are we gonna do? It's like, let's find something on Tubi and just fucking review it. Because
yeah,
they have a lot of well-known stuff, but they also have a lot of non-well-known stuff. A lot of shit I've never heard of, and a lot of obscure shit that I don't think I would give a chance to otherwise, honestly, because it wouldn't be, as accessible to me. I even have fan films on there. So.
That's excellent. I didn't know that.
That's where I watched that.
So yeah,
that Grand Theft Auto Scream movie that I mentioned. That's a callback to the Scream episode. A friend.
I forgot to ask you where you actually found that. But...
Yeah, it was on. That is on Tubi for some fucking reason.
But yet again, Tubi comes to save the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Fucking, I don't know. We're counting down our most anticipated films.
All right.
I'm excited to get through. I'm excited to get through it so I can go peep out some Tubi TV.
You're number 2.
Yeah, so my number 2 is a movie that I had no fucking clue existed until I was looking through the September releases. This is where we are, people. That this is difficult. But anyway, this.
Can I just say?
Yeah.
When you posted your number 2, when you posted your 3 in the chat, because I pinned it and I went, okay, I'll watch these later. I went to go watch it.
Yeah.
I scrolled up to your number 2. I saw the title and I went, what the fuck?
Yep. Yeah. Well, when I was going through the releases for September, I scrolled past this title and said, what the fuck? It was the exact same reaction. But then I saw underneath it that it starred Simon Pegg and Minnie Driver. And I said, okay, I mean, it's at least... It has people in it that I recognize, so it's not complete nonsense, I guess. So my number 2 is Nander Fodor and the Talking Mongoose, which sounds like I took drugs before I said it. Essentially, it's about a paranormal psychologist going out to the Isle of Man off of, in the UK, because there's a family there saying that there's a mongoose that lives on their property that talks, except they can't see it. And they are convinced that this thing exists, and his name is Jeff, because of course it is. And Simon Pegg plays the paranormal psychologist, Dr. Nander Fodor, and evidently this is based on potentially real events, and he spends some time out at the Isle of Man with this family trying to figure out if it's real or not, and it sounds like a lot of it is he's a skeptic, so he's trying to prove that it's wrong, but can't. And I think the trailer does a really, really good job, because it has a nice build to it. It's almost like watching a movie, but for 2 minutes, and it builds and it builds up, and you get to the point where he receives a phone call, and he's told that it's from Jeff, and so he hears this little voice tell him that tomorrow I'm going to let you see me, and then the trailer has a crescendo where it's Nander Fodor and the members of this family and the people that tend the property or something like that, everybody in this little community, and they're coming to the mouth of a cave somewhere nearby, and then it basically gives you like the title card and shit. I thought it was so effectively done. Like, we're not actually going to see the fucking thing, whatever it is, but the trailer builds very nicely that this is all going to lead to this encounter at this cave. And I don't know, the trailer just kind of struck me. It's a goofy ass story, and on top of that, it seems to be a very character driven film, which I think outside of cinematography, which I'm a huge fan of, individual like acting performances and characters are my favorite parts, and so it just seems to kind of stand out for me. So yeah, it made my list because of that. It's a weird kind of offbeat film, and it seems to be more character driven, and it's got a decent like little mystery about it that I thought was very interesting. So I'm a Simon Pegg guy. I like Simon Pegg. Like seeing him do stuff. So it's releasing on September 1st, and I don't know where. I don't see if it's it doesn't say showtimes, so I don't know if it's coming to theaters or not.
I think so.
It seemed like it just because it's Simon Pegg, Minnie Driver, and Christopher Lloyd are the three.
It's about limited
top
theaters.
Build. Limited, okay, that makes sense. Art house theaters.
The title, it really strikes you. And then you get into the trailer. And by the way, just to say off the cuff, this looks like it would be an A24 film. I'm surprised it isn't.
Yeah,
because they do a lot of oddball shit. The cast is so bizarre. It's Simon Pegg is the lead. It's got Christopher Lloyd in it, and the mongoose Jeff is voiced by none other than Neil fucking Gaiman.
Oh, that's right. Shit, I'm pissed that I forgot about that.
The acclaimed author of plenty of shit.
Yes. Creator of the Sandman graphic novel series, which is one of my favorites.
Fucking Graveyard Book.
Right.
It's such a silly concept for a movie, but then they got these big names to do it. And I think the thing that really struck me is that I read that it was based on a true story, or true quote-unquote story. I should say quote-unquote true story. It might be a story, but it's definitely true. Because I was glancing at the Wikipedia article, and it's just this whole thing where it's the 1930s, and they have this hoax, or this alleged hoax. I mean, it's a hoax. There's no fucking talking mongoose, so I'll just
let's get one thing straight.
I want to believe.
You're not.
Call me David.
You're not going to convince me there's an actual talking mongoose out there.
Also Isle of Man. I mean, before I knew that it was based on an actual place, I was like, man, I don't hear that territory fucking in films often.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into politics, so I'll just say territory. I don't want to offend anybody. But yeah, and then the Wikipedia article concluded that, oh, you know what? It was probably just the family fucking with people because they were ventriloquists. So.
Oh yeah, they dropped that in the trailer too. They say that their daughter's a ventriloquist.
Yeah, so it I don't know. Once again, and this is the third time I've said this, I have no idea where the hell this story's going to go. Even though it's based on a true thing, I mean, it's certainly not going to set up a goddamn sequel. Also, the name Mandor Hodor, man, that's some Lord of the Rings shit.
That's a Star Wars name. Yeah.
Yeah, that's some glove shitto stuff if I ever seen it. So that's wild. It's a comedy, but also a mystery movie, and the trailers made the tone seem way less comedic than I thought it would be after reading the damn name.
Yeah.
Because, you know,
there's like a sense of melancholy to it.
Yeah, because he's like, I need to prove this wrong, and he's getting dicked around by the alleged talking mongoose, which I imagine would be frustrating because his job is to prove that something doesn't exist.
Right.
And that you can't see. And yeah, it's bizarre. Definitely not anything I had heard of until you posted, but definitely something I would watch just for the spectacle of it. Once again, I was very surprised to not see the A24 logo at the end of this trailer. It had very much those vibes.
I agree. I could see that 100%.
And also, how did the mongoose make a phone call?
Excellent question. Hopefully they answer that kind of stuff in the film. I'd love to know that. But yeah, it looks like one of those offbeat, films that I would glom onto. So it makes the list.
Alert, you can make calls 'cause it's not fucking real. The movie opens like, hey, I have a talking mongoose. No, you don't. End credits. It's a whole movie.
No mongoose were harmed in the making of this film. Is it mongoose or mongooses? What do you think?
Gooses sounds better. I'm also not entirely sure what the fuck a mongoose is, if I'm being honest with you.
It's like a ferret. It's very similar in body style to a ferret. It's like a little rodent thing. But they're like snake killers.
Yeah, I know that they fucking kill snakes. Let me Google it's a weasel-looking thing.
Yeah, weasel. That's a better way to describe it, rather than a ferret. I mean, it's all the same shit, just different sizes.
Yeah, I didn't entirely know what a mongoose was to begin with, other than it's that funny thing that kills snakes.
You never read the Rikki Tikki Tavi book?
The what?
Rikki Tikki Tavi. It's a story about a mongoose. It's like a kid's book, but it's a story about a mongoose.
No.
And a donkey.
My experience with Mangai is in the
Mangai?
in the Pokemon anime series. Jessie sends out her Ekans, and Ghastly's making shit appear. So in order to fight off the Ekans, who's a snake, she summons an actual mongoose to fight it. That's the only thing I know about mongooses.
Mongooses.
Mongosai.
That's hysterical. Alright, tell me about your number one. Enough about fucking mongoose.
I was about to read the whole Wikipedia article for Mon.
Stick it to Demon.
Oh, by the way, I looked it up. It's mongooses. Okay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
It's not mongoose. Okay. Well, you said gooses sounds better, so.
I was just changing it up. My number one, unsurprisingly, given everything that's coming out, It is Saw 10
Yeah.
or Saw X, whichever you prefer.
Saw Twitter.
Yeah. God damn it. Elon Musk bought the rights to Saw. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of default my number one. I think I put it at my number one before I even knew anything about it, other than it came out in September. It's Jigsaw's back, unsurprisingly, because
the Saw timeline is really fucking hard to follow.
I mentioned that to my wife earlier because I told her, "Don't worry, you don't have to watch 9 of these." That scared the shit out of me. Here, I said, "Don't worry, you don't have to watch 9 of these because it's set between 1 and 2, so you can only watch 1 and you'll be set." Hero is obviously a fan of Saw. It looks like they digitally de-aged Tobin Bell a little bit because he looks younger than
kind of CGI,
which is good because the way they digitally de-aged him in previous movies before that technology was available is they just plopped a fucking backwards baseball cap on him. I don't know if you remember that at all.
Yeah, he's like fucking Steve Buscemi in those commercials.
Yeah, how do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah, fellow youths or whatever. Yeah,
it's great to look. There are some ethical questions to be raised with doing that, and my stance, because I'm not afraid to say this, I don't think it's too controversial. As long as the actor's alive to consent to it, I think it's fine.
Yeah. Sure.
When it comes to adding actors who have passed away into films, I wouldn't really advocate for that.
Are you talking about like Carrie Fisher?
I mean, yeah, there are some examples that involve spoiler stuff at movies, so I'm not going to get into what has done it, but it's
Gotcha.
popped up a few times, and it's. Even if you can justify it, like, oh, the family said it's alright or whatever, it feels gross. So,
yeah,
I don't really like that. But as long as they're, if you're digitally de-aging a character, that's fair play. As long as they're down with that, you could raise the point that it takes a role away from another actor. But I don't think digitally de-aging Tobin Bell by like 10 years is gonna hurt anybody because they weren't gonna recast him or nothing. So this takes place after 1. It involves him seeking cancer treatment by going to Mexico for a experimental procedure that turns out to be bullshit. They kind of John Wick John Kramer in this, where they're like, "Oh, you fucked with the wrong guy." They say something along those lines in the trailer, even though if I recall, I don't think he was well known as Jigsaw yet.
Right.
But, yeah, they're like, "No, you chose John Kramer. You done fucked up."
So wait, it takes place between 1 and 2. So he had already done the events of the first movie.
Yeah.
Is that what you were saying? Okay.
Yeah. This is essentially Saw 10. Jigsaw goes to Mexico. And which would have been a better title, because God knows it's hard to. When I think in my mind of the plots of these, it's really hard to differentiate them without looking them up and go, "Oh, I remember it was that plot." So I did that when I was looking at the director who made this one. It was the director who did Saw 3D, which fucking sucked. But it was also the director of Saw 6, which is one of my favorites. To refresh your memory on which one that was, it was the one all about critiquing the healthcare system, which, given the circumstances in my personal life, I could really relate to right now. And funnily enough, this seems more thematically like Saw 6. They have him essentially being dicked around by the healthcare system again, or the first time, I suppose, since this takes place before that. And then going, "Nah, you did it bad." And he sort of serves as an anti-hero, if I'm being honest. I mean, he's killing people, but, I mean, they straight up screwed him over. I mean, they took, like, how shittier can you get than making a cancer patient pay out the ass and then not knowingly not treating him. So that's fun. Another thing is the traps in this, that even on the poster, it looks very akin to 1 and 2, where the franchise began, which is fitting because it takes place between 1 and 2. So I think I think we're back to its roots, back to where it all began, and I think that was intentional. If it was, then outstanding job, because it really feels that way.
Yeah. No, and I'm a fan of the series in general, even though there's lots of them and it is a mixed bag of quality. I was one of the people that got excited for every October because I knew the next Saw movie was going to come out, and it was just the thing to do. In October, you go see Saw in the theater. But
they were every year.
Huh?
When they were every year.
Yeah, it was like fucking Assassin's Creed. You could always rely on it coming out every year. So I was into the series for a long time, and then obviously it went away for a bit, and then we got Spiral from the Book of Saw. What was it, 2 years ago or something? And it was fine, I guess. A little underwhelming. So I'm excited to kind of get back on track with the franchise. I don't know if it's going to continue after this or not. Do you have any inkling about that?
Yeah, they set up a cliffhanger in I want to say Jigsaw, that the creators said they would conclude if there was interest. So yeah,
that it'll continue if there's interest.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that it, after being away, excluding Spiral because it wasn't per se a Saw movie, even though it's still. Right. Alternate title is 9. The fact that John Kramer is back, Tobin Bell is back, I feel like it'll get butts in seats. Especially, it's a weird thing, but the fact that it's the 10th movie in the franchise, I feel like has some drawing power to it. It's having that X.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I have a connection to this franchise as well. I saw the original Saw back in 2004 or 5. When I was 6 or 7.
Yep.
I saw that in theaters with my parents. It was one of the shittiest theater experiences of my life, but I loved the movie because for whatever reason, halfway through the movie at like a pivotal moment, the screen just turned off, and we had to wait like 30 minutes for the projectionist to be like find where we were at and resume the movie. It was weird, but as a kid, I got to make a whole theater laugh when I went, "Oh, they sawed the movie in half." But
nice.
I followed this since the beginning, and it has its ups and downs. But much like most major horror franchises, I could look at it and still sift through the shit and enjoy it too, because it's familiar. Franchises they do well for a reason.
Well, and I gotta say too, I mean, and you kind of just made this point, of all the horror franchises, there aren't many that, and certainly not that I can think of off the top of my head, that don't have their crests and their falls and things like that. Friday the 13th, there's some of them are awesome and some of them are not. Same with Nightmare, same with Halloween, the same with Scream. Evil Dead, as we've pointed out on the show, is the only franchise that I can think of offhand where I don't think any one of those films is a bad movie at all.
No, not at all.
So
Saw
is still a franchise. Saw is still a franchise worth hanging out with, just because it has a few entries that are below the quality of the better ones. That you could say that about anything. So big deal.
And I mean, let's be honest. The average person who goes to see a Saw movie, they don't really give a fuck about the narrative. It's about the traps and watching people get out of them, and watching them escape from them, and watching the horror MacGyver-esque shit that happens in the film. So it has
absolutely
appeal.
Yeah, I agree.
Unless you have anything further to say on Saw X.
No, when is Elon Musk putting that out?
In theaters everywhere. It'll be on your LG smart refrigerator when
they're September gonna fucking 29th. Project it on the moon.
don't know why that got me.
It's Elon Musk. He can do it.
Oh God, I'd love before we segue into your number one, I would love a horror movie.
I'm hashtagging that motherfucker, just so you know. I'm hashtagging Elon Musk on this one.
Somebody make a horror movie
Sorry,
where they project some fucking horror on the moon. Everybody looks up at the moon and a Saw movie. Or some shit like that. Anyway, what the fuck?
I would assume if they're gonna fucking we're gonna stay on this for a second. If they're gonna fucking project something on the moon, stupidest thing I've ever said. It's. I was gonna say it's gonna be a sporting event, like the fucking World Cup or something, Super Bowl.
Yeah, but
that'd be my assumption.
Imagine your team's about to go get a touchdown, and there's a fucking cloud in the way.
Or a crater.
The reception on this fucking rock is terrible.
Reception on this planetoid is less than ideal.
You're watching it in like super small. It's like and no offense to anybody who does this, but it's like going to like WrestleMania, but you got tickets in the nosebleeds. It's like, well, I can't see shit, so I might as well watch it at home.
Yeah, I'm here for the atmosphere. I'm actually watching it on Peacock in my seat.
Yeah, I feel closer to the action than some of the people that are there, especially at the modern low cost of wrestling pay-per-views, relatively.
Right.
So, what the fuck are we doing? A show?
Yeah. Let me wrap this shit up. Here it goes. Okay. So my number one... My number one most anticipated film. We should really let you fucking, I think, be... like, instead of you going first, it should be me. I think that would make... No, the other way around. No, yeah. No. I should be the one that goes first so that you go last.
Why?
In the future. Because I feel like your movies are... like a funner note to go out on. Month to month.
Because I snipe the shit that you want to see out from under you, and you have to scramble to go.
Exactly.
I mean, we can
fucking Golden Girls reboot. I guess.
What do you? What's your number one, Brandon? The Taylor Swift concert, but as a movie coming to theaters. And yes, that's real.
The AEW pay-per-view is showing at the Cinemark. That's my number one for the month. It's a wrestling joke for those of you who don't know. My number one for the month is The Kill Room. Huh?
It's true too. They showed the All In at select theaters.
Yeah, I think they do that with all of them. I've always thought about doing that, and then I'm like, COVID, you know.
Anyway,
I just watch it at home. It's fine. Excuse me. All right, so. This is a fun like money laundering film, little crime kind of. It's funny. It seems funny anyway. Essentially, a hitman likes to paint in his spare time, and an art dealer, played by Uma Thurman, starts selling his pieces. And they start rolling that into a money laundering scheme. So, like, the money that he makes off of killing people, or the money that him and Samuel L. Jackson plays his handler, I think. And so, the money that they're making in their crime life, they are laundering through the art dealership by having Uma Thurman cut them chunks off of these payments that she's receiving for the pieces of art that the hitman's doing. And they're very clear in the trailer that, like, he's a shitty ass artist, but, you know, in the art community, if you have a good dealer and all this other stuff, you can make people believe that something is worth, you know, millions of dollars or something like that. It looks like a fun movie. It looks very much in the same vein as like a late 90s, early 2000s Guy Ritchie film. Except it doesn't take place in the UK like it takes place in America. But, you know, it's a fun cast. Joe Manganiello's in it, and he's somebody that I don't get to see him in a lot of stuff. I remember I was introduced to him through True Blood. And then the only real reason I've kept up with him since then is he's an avid D&D player. So every once in a while I'll see something on YouTube or like an interview he does about it, and how I know he's got this.
He was Flash Thompson in the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
That's right, he was. I forgot about that. Excuse me. I know that he has. Well, I know him from True Blood. That was the thing that I saw him in originally. But yeah, he. I know he has like a celebrity D&D game, and I think Vin Diesel is in it.
It's awesome.
But like it's a pretty exclusive table. But man, what a fun campaign that would be to watch. So anyway, I don't know. It looks like a lot of fun. I don't really recognize the director, but obviously the Uma Thurman, Samuel L. Jackson, Joe Manganiello, Maya Hawke is in it. Ethan Hawke and Uma Thurman's daughter, so she gets to work with her mom. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean the director, what's her name? Nicole Payon. She only has 2 other directorial credits to her name. And Friendsgiving is one of them, and then this is her second one. I have no idea. I've never seen Friendsgiving.
Yeah,
I'm gonna give you. I
don't think I would.
Based on the poster, it looks like dog shit. Sorry to this direct. I mean, maybe it's great. I don't know. I'm not the target audience for it. I can tell you that just by looking at it. But yeah, I don't know. It looks good. She also wrote. I think she also wrote the kill. Wait, now I gotta look at this again. No, it was written by Jonathan Jacobson, directed by Nicole Payon. So okay, she didn't write it. She wrote the Thanksgiving, Jesus, the Friendsgiving film. She wrote and directed it. This one was Jonathan Jacobson. He wrote. It did have Wanda Sykes in it. So The Kill Room is his third writing credit after Elevators Must Come Down and Benchwarmers, which is some short. I don't know. He's a producer. This is probably gonna suck. Now that I'm looking at the people behind it, I have no fucking confidence in it anymore.
Well, the cast is
the trailer looked good. Yeah. The cast is decent and the trailer looked good. I have no confidence in who's actually behind the camera doing the stuff. So I hope I'm wrong.
A bit of a Pulp Fiction reunion there with Samuel L. Jackson and Uma Thurman.
That's true.
And by the way, true. Samuel L. Jackson's beard in this movie, it looks absolutely fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, it does.
He looks like the hell was his name? Tomko from TNA. Yeah,
I don't know, man. Like now that I started kind of pulling it apart, I'm like, fucking. It would have been great to end on Saw, you know. But oh well. Anyway, what'd you think?
I'm gonna keep doing them first, just so I don't get stuck with the shit like you do.
No. You misunderstand. I still want you to pick your films first. I just think we should use yours as the second in each of the rounds, right? So like instead of you going with yours first, I would do mine first. That way we ended on Saw 10 instead of fucking The Kill Room, directed by the woman that did Friendsgiving.
Well, the reason you originally went last to begin with is so you could just jump right into the outro.
That's true, but I can easily just bounce into the outro once we're done talking about your movie.
Well, all right, off the jump, and I told my wife this when I watched your 3 trailers. I said, did Boon send these to me in the opposite order? Because I cannot imagine that this is number 1. This felt like a number 3 pick. Not that the acting talent isn't there, but like the concept and I didn't recognize anybody in the crew section, so I was like, I wonder if he meant to put this on his number 3 and then Elevator Game be 1, but I guess not. Although,
no,
I wouldn't be surprised if it was the case.
Excuse
now.
me. Yeah, now that I've thought more about it, I'd probably put the fucking Paw Patrol movie into my actual 3.
Yeah, we can end with Paw Patrol. Yeah, Maya Hawke, I love her. She's my favorite character in Stranger Things, is Robin. So,
really?
I'm down with seeing her with her mom.
Cool.
I'm not sure if she's done a film with her father yet. That I can remember, at least she hasn't.
Yeah, I don't know.
A lot of this, the theme in this film seems to be taking the piss out of the art community. In the sense that he's like, I don't know how to fucking do art, and Samuel L. Jackson's character goes, yeah, that looks like, I don't remember what the line was. I know it made me laugh, but he said something akin to, it looks like diarrhea. And, but lo and behold, because you say something's valuable, and then people all of a sudden want to get it.
Right.
And, so there's that. I mean, it's a comedy, but it's also feels like it's going to have its drama moments or thriller moments, in the sense that one line was when you make art from a truthful place, people find out something about you. So I would imagine there was going to be a struggle to maintain your anonymity, because the dude is a hitman killing people, and you have another character that's like, oh, I need to find out who the bagman is. Need to, interview this person. Want to talk to this person, and she's told no, and she's like, well, that just makes me want to find him even more. And meanwhile, you can imagine that the dude's like, well, I'm popular. I want to be known for this, but then his handler essentially has to go, well, no, because this is don't forget, this is just a front for what we're actually doing. So,
right.
Plenty of conflicts of interest there. So that looks neat. Not a fucking number one of the month type neat, but it looks neat.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, excuse me, I'm still operating under this thing where I used to watch a lot of like crime movies, and a lot of them have these comedic elements to them. Like I said, these Guy Ritchie films, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch, they have this kind of comedic element to them. I mean, yeah, and Spun, excuse me, I don't know if you've ever seen Spun.
Yeah.
It's about people who are addicted to meth, but it's like a trippy drug movie that shows the horrible side of being addicted to drugs and things like that, but it's also funny, and like it's visually very engrossing and things like that. And Mickey Rourke plays a character named the Cook in it, and he's a badass, and there's fucking Hispanic gangsters that get involved, and like it's just this wild movie that centers around this world of methamphetamines in this town. And so I have a tendency to lean into these kind of like crime centered films, because I think the stuff's interesting, and a lot of the actors and stuff that I really like end up being in them. And this seemed like it was one of those, but the more I started talking about it, the less I was excited about it. So I don't know. I kind of talked myself out of it. And I think it is because I'm grasping at straws. I think for this month, it is... I think I am feeling it a little bit more than you are in terms of...
Oh yeah, I sent you a ton of stuff.
You did. And I was parsing through it, and I made the dumbass picks that I made. I don't know.
So Shout Studios has the rights to this, and I know it's going to be releasing it, but is it straight to DVD, or is it coming?
This has see showtimes and tickets on IMDb, so evidently it's coming to theaters.
How the hell is this coming to theaters? The Elevator Game is straight to streaming.
You got me, man. It's the theater that I would say is closest to my house, I guess. It's going to have showtimes there. So
I mean,
it is coming to...
I make it a point when we do these coming soon episodes to take every single film that we talk about, barring the honorable mentions. If I get to them, I get to them. But I might maintain taking every single film we talk about as our top 3 or previously our top 4, and I work them into my schedule. to watch them and rank them and everything. And yeah, I'll watch this. I can't say I'm super hyped about it.
Yeah.
Though I like my
fucking theme of the month for the Boon.
Well, I'm excited about my picks. And
I'm excited about your picks.
Well, I gave you plenty of good shit.
I'm super excited about it.
Let me go back to my honorable mention. You could have picked The Nun too. You could have picked Good Boy.
I'm not excited about that.
What, Nun 2?
I should have picked Good Boy. I almost put Good Boy on my list, and then I didn't. I should have.
Look, to go back all the way to the beginning of the episode, The Nun 2, it's got solid people on the writing team. It was almost my number 3, but because of the previous film, I was like, it could go either way.
Oh, I was about to say, but what if I didn't like the first one?
I didn't like the first one. I just liked the writer.
So I didn't want to put the second one on my list. I don't know.
Because
the second one could be good, I guess. So I should have thought about that.
Horror movies where the first one's ass and the second one's great. Can't think of one off the top of my head. That's true. But there are them.
Or even not necessarily ass, but just the second one is superior to the original.
I can think of plenty of that.
That's certainly happened a number of times, so that could be the case here. I mean, if it was a better version of The Nun, then yeah, The Nun 2 would have been great. I don't know. My mind immediately went to, like, I didn't like the first one, so why would I be excited about the second one? It was a stupid way to think.
Because I struggled not making my top 3. I struggled what 5 to select for my honorable mentions, because they all look decent. Mm-hmm. But if I had to pick one, it's not my month to pick what we see in the theaters. If I had to pick one, it would be Saw 10. If you had to pick one, you'd probably stay the fuck home.
I feel like I'm not fucking leaving the house.
I mean,
forget it.
Hopefully October will be easier for you, because I already got my 3, because, it's horror, so it's already set in stone for me. I'm good.
Yeah, you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, don't ask me about
we've got yeah, good lord. I'm excited. I'm excited to look at October, and of course, I'm having to take things a week at a time at the moment and not looking too far ahead. But yeah, we got part 2 of the VVV coming out next week, folks, and then after that we get back to the Alex Garland arc. But I do need to start looking at October, because I'm interested to see. I want to be excited. I want to make some good picks. So next time,
mine in advance to help you curate yours.
Yeah,
I'm done.
That way I know to skip some shit.
All right. Well, I'll do that after post episode.
All right.
That seems like a good point to end this one.
I think so. Yeah. Fucking get me out of here. Like, I think it'd be okay if you wanted to stay and just talk about your shit, but I think I need to be. Somebody needs to put me to bed, because
in October
I'm fucking ashamed of myself.
I'll let you go first, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, let's end on your good shit instead of my deflating, like, the Boon doesn't know what he's talking about shit. So, fucking idiot. The Idiot is gonna be my new name. Fucking bad movie picker. So yeah, we're gonna get back into Alex Garland once we're done with the version versus version, so we can look forward to that arc continuing, which I'm looking forward to, because Annihilation is next, and I've already seen that film, but it's been a little bit.
So it'll be a time watch for me.
Yeah, so that'll be cool. I think Cody's seen it as well, or Inky, excuse me. So it'll be kind of us doing like a needs to see almost with you. So
I wouldn't get to use his name anymore.
Now that he's not here, I'm not thinking about how I'm supposed to call him Inky. So yeah, but we'll end it there, folks, for this week. This is our coming soon, and I apologize. So just pay attention to Josh's. Maybe do the Mongoose movie. I think that was probably my best pick this month. To go check out the Simon Pegg Mongoose movie. Huh?
Yeah, that's the one I'm excited for. I mean, I'm excited for Elevator Game too. I mean, it was in my honorable mentions last month, but the Mongoose one, I'm like, man, I need to see that one.
Like, what a fucking diamond in the rough that was. And then the rest of the shit I brought up is just like, what a bunch of dog shit. What is this guy doing?
Only your number one fell flat, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it was my number one. So, like, if you're doing, like, a weighted average, that sucks.
Oh, you also...
like, you built up to that?
In a previous episode, you also went, my number 2 is Elemental. Yeah, I don't really want to see it, but my kids do, so fuck it. I went, why is it your number 2 then? You're like, I don't know.
I really don't know. I don't think I understand the concept of these episodes. At all.
You want to see the most. That I haven't already
I mean, yeah, it's from under you. It's pretty fucking cut and dried, isn't it? But yeah, I keep messing it up. You want to
see the most that Josh hasn't swept from right out from under you. You get his leftovers.
Right. I get the scraps. All right, folks. We'll let you go for real this time. For the Boon and the Sex Robotica unit, we very much thank you for listening to the Screen Sermon Podcast. Please interact with us at screensermonpod@gmail.com, or you could always comment on the YouTube videos or the episodes on Spotify, things like that. Please support Tubi TV. I'm just gonna start fucking pimping Tubi TV every episode because I love their products so much. Very much appreciate them. And SR, I very much appreciate you fucking keeping me in line on these coming soon episodes as I continue to drop the ball month after month. Thank you for having good movies and fun insight about them to talk about. I appreciate it.
And watch out.
Yeah, eventually we'll get there. All right. Folks, we'll talk at you next week when we bring you the second half of Version versus Version, The Ring versus Ringu, and that will feature, of course, our final decisions about which of those two films we would recommend. And then after that, we'll get into some more stuff. But for this week, we'll let you go for now. SR, thanks for being here with me, and we will chat with you folks soon.
Yep.